Okay. Good evening. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order with just a quick comment about something. I mentioned this at the meeting the other night. I absolutely appreciate people showing up for these meetings because I think it's important for a lot of reasons. So I'm glad you're here. I really am. In all honesty, the only consistent complaint that I get after these meetings is people complaining that they can't hear the meeting because other people are talking, or they miss things because there was disruption, or there's an outburst, positive or negative, it doesn't really matter, that sort of thing. So all I'm asking, just in the interest of good citizenship, setting an example, as well as just being good neighbors to ourselves, if we could refrain from talking while the meeting is going on. If you need to talk, please take it out in the hallway, and hopefully we'll have a good, productive, and efficient meeting. Okay? All right. With that being said, flags in the back of the room, if you join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we are going to deal with the items on the agenda in order. The first action, and they're all action items. The first action item is under new business is to approve the new hires. With that respect, we're going to deal with them by name and number, if you don't mind, because I'll probably butcher a third of these names, and I don't want to do that. So
I move to keep the assistant transportation supervisor position open.
we're here a second.
I will second.
Discussion.
For the board's input, obviously it's my recommendation that you hire Mr. Dane for the assistant transportation director. There aren't a whole lot of people clamoring for a lot of positions right here. We did interview 3 different people. We felt like the team that interviewed Mr. Dane would be able to do the job and do the job well. He does have to get a CDL license. It's not a unsurmountable task for that, but with some of his skill sets that he could do the work necessary for that particular area of GHS. We'd also be working under Mr. Johnson, the transportation director. Correct. My input for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any further comments? All right, you ready to vote? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay. Nay.
Nay.
Larry.
Oh, my apologies. Because we've got so many items to deal with, in the interest of helping Holly to get a good record and keep track of things, if you wouldn't mind, when you give your answer to the vote, if you would just raise your hand slightly so she can see, and we'll go nice and slow and make a good record, and that's as it should be.
Okay, so would you tell me again? Because I was waiting for hands.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. We're going to redo the vote if nobody objects on item 1A. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. In favor?
Yes.
Of B's motion.
So, aye.
And all opposed. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I would make a motion that we accept the hire of Matt Dean as presented by our superintendent for assistant transportation director.
Well, I understand. The issue I'm having right now is I'm a little bit confused. We're going to keep it open. It sounds to me like we are declining to hire him at this time, but he's still,
No.
am I misunderstanding
No,
something?
you just- the
voted
motion
2
just
to
failed.
3. It just failed.
To keep it open.
To keep the position
keep it
open
open.
just failed.
I'm misunderstanding the language that was used. My apologies. All right. Then please restate your motion.
I would make a motion that we would hire Matt Dam as Assistant Transportation Director as presented by our superintendent.
We have a second. Hearing no second, the motion fails. Moving on to item 1B.
No, just a second. She said that she wanted the motion or to keep the job open, right?
Right, and that motion failed.
It did fail.
It did fail. And then
Yes.
Melissa just made another motion and it
to
didn't
hire.
get a second and it died.
So it failed.
Correct.
So everything's failed.
Everything is. It basically got what the first motion is because now
Yeah.
they need to be reopened.
Right, okay, gotcha. Thank you.
All right, item. With respect to item 1B. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we accept the superintendent's suggestion for 1B.
I second that motion. Discussion. All right, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we,
Oh, so we can call it.
I move that we accept the superintendent's suggestion for 1C.
I will second that.
Got it?
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, got it.
Opposed? With respect to item 1D,
I move that we accept the superintendent's suggestion for 1D.
discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Gotcha.
Opposed? With respect to item 1E,
I move that we accept superintendent's suggestion for 1E.
second that motion.
Got it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? With respect to action item 1F,
I move that we accept the superintendent's suggestion for 1F.
I'll second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Finally, action item 1G,
I approve the superintendent's suggestion for 1G. I make a motion that we approve superintendent's suggestion for 1G.
discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Gotcha.
Opposed? No. All right, moving on to action item number 2. These are two, do we have any objection? Do we have any objection to dealing with these as a block vote?
We should.
Thank you. Hearing no objections with respect to items 2A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Do we have any discussion?
I would make a motion that we would approve the resignations as presented.
Thank you.
A second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, moving down to action item number 3. With respect to 3A, do I hear a motion?
I would make a motion that we accept the contract as presented.
A second,
I would make a motion that we accept the contract as presented.
a second that motion.
Okay.
Discussion? All in favor?
I'd like to discuss it.
Oh, all right,
Sorry.
sorry.
I feel like making a decision on this and adding another year, I think a lot of people don't understand that the current contract already goes through 2023. And therefore, they already have 18 months. Well, this employee has 18 months on their contract still. And with the uncertainty of our fiscal situation next year, I don't think it's fiscally responsible for the board to lock ourselves into a contract that after 18 months, we might not be able to afford.
Further comment?
I'd just like to say we were presented with Mrs. Becker with a positive evaluation. I'm not sure how we could function without a principal at CBHS. And I think that it's a good thing to extend job security to our leadership team as they have all been presented with positive evaluations.
I'd like to confer with Ms. Casper's comments.
I feel 18 months is a pretty solid contract compared to the teachers who just got their contracts for this year in February. I feel like 18 months is a fair contract for employment, especially in the markets that we have now, job markets that we have. If we're worried about holding on to employees because we can't fill that job, I do know that we have other certified principals out there, and I don't think that's a responsible way to lock people in because we're afraid we can't replace them. I'd invite anybody to continue their contracts for 18 months, but we might not be able to afford them.
I would add to the board that if there's time for you to build cuts, you're going to be looking at all options of that particular piece, regardless of contract length. Principals do not have tenure capability. They only have the 2-year contract to rely on. It does not have anything to do with our teachers. They did just get their contracts. And that was the basis off of our negotiations that was able to go through. So I don't want you to get those mixed up with what the teachers have done and the contracts were just presented. The work that got done with our union was really good, and there's some good strength and momentum there. But those particular pieces were way ahead of the program. We didn't get contracts out to our teachers last year until August. So we're way ahead of that game. So I just don't want you to have those mixed up. There are 2 different particular pieces.
Correct, and I'm just saying that employment they have through for 18 months. And in January of 2023, we will have a new superintendent who can do an evaluation and assess those people at that time. It's not like we're firing people today. We're just saying we're not going to continue after the 18 months. Or we might continue after the 18 months. Sorry, I shouldn't have said it like that. I'm just saying like we're securing 18 months, but we can't guarantee an entire another year. That's what I'm saying.
Thank
After that.
Any other comments? Oh, I will go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor of the recommended 2-year contract for Principal Heather Becker? Please state your vote. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Regarding item 3B. Well, I guess we've gotten away from not having names. This will be Mr. Joe Rodriguez, who's the CDE principal, as it's stated here.
I would make a motion that we accept the contract for Mr. Rodriguez as presented.
I would second that motion. Discussion?
I would just reiterate what I just said.
I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the 2-year contract recommended for Joseph Rodriguez? Signify your vote. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Item 3C.
I make a motion that we accept the contract as presented for Mr. Rodriguez.
A second on motion. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving a recommended administrative 2-year contract for Randall Miskin, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, signify by saying nay.
Nay.
And finally, with respect to item 3D, the 2-year contract extension for Mr. Cody Weddle, who is listed as the Federal Programs Director and the SPED, which is, I believe, the Special Programs Coordinator. Great. Okay.
I would make a motion that we accept Mr. Whittle's contract as presented.
Do I have a second? Motion fails for a second. I believe that concludes our business this evening.
I have a motion for 1B.
For 1B, sure, our last one, go ahead, please.
I move to not approve an extension of admin contract at this time and to revisit the contract during the January 2023 board meeting for 3D.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, I thought we just voted on that.
Oh, we did as well.
We voted on one motion and there was no second, so I have,
There was a
The
motion,
right-
motion failed.
yeah, so then I
So she
can,
can reintroduce.
Well, by design, by what you've just done, by not doing anything, Mr. Weddle has another year on his contract.
Right.
And so come January,
what I've just asked is for a motion,
right,
which I
my,
can do.
my point is this. By doing nothing, Mr. Weddle will be, if he's employed here, you can still do your evaluation by not even having a motion.
And when will this contract end?
It'll end at the 22-23 school year. That's the end of it.
Do you think he might like to know if? Won't matter either way.
He'll be evaluated. And I would imagine any real sane person would not give up a chance to miss Mr. Weddle on their team.
So are you calling us not sane?
Oh, okay, okay, that's enough.
I would say that the superintendent
Both of you are out of order.
would want that person on his team.
All right. I believe we have a motion on the table. Ms. Edwards, did we get a second?
Yes.
Seconded.
Next, second.
Okay, Ms. Edwards help me out, Polly. I just want to be clear. Could I impose on you to restate your motion? Just so we all,
Yes, I move to not approve an extension of the 3D administrative contract past the 2023 time and to revisit the June 2023 and to revisit the contract during the January 2023 board meeting.
have a second. Any discussion? Further discussion? All right, I call for a vote on the on Ms. Edwards' motion. All in favor? Sorry. Yes, sir.
A little discussion. I'm just not quite sure what her motion is.
I'm asking that his current contract stay in place till 2023 and that we do not give him an extra year as of now, but we could reevaluate it in January 2023 to see if we have the funds at that time.
What I shared with you is if you do nothing,
And
that
I
would be
think that's
what would
all.
happen anyway.
That's automatic.
Yeah, it's automatic.
So then, with all due respect to the effort, and I understand, frankly, I don't disagree, then it's moved, the motion is moved.
Right, that's what I was trying to point out.
Okay,
That
super.
same things that he is asking for can still happen.
I would just ask that everybody,
Well, it would also
Keep the
apply to
rhetoric down.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Correct,
Exactly.
correct. He has another year remaining on his
You're-
contract.
yes.
which also then means that he maybe offers extension.
Right, as I said, he would be evaluated and presented to the board for, I'm sure, for your consideration.
Are we still in discussion or no?
No, we can't, you know,
If you're saying there's no motion.
yeah, there's no motion, if it's moved, we're done. All right, with that, we're adjourned.
Are we gonna make nothing for me?
Do what?
Nothing for me. How does 1A sit?
Stand by.
How does 1A sit? Because there was a motion to keep it open, and then there was a motion to not keep it open and to fill it with Matt, and neither were approved. So,
Right, well, what, in essence, what's happened there on 1A is that I'm gonna have to repost it. You haven't done anything with them, so it'll be reposted, and Mr. Dame can reapply.
We decline to hire Mr. Dane for that position.
Right.
until the requirements are met,
Well,
until
no,
there's,
it's-
yeah,
I'm gonna reopen it,
right.
and I'm
Just straight up.
gonna tell Mr. Dame that if he'd like to reapply, he can, and then you guys will be in your hands again if he does, or whoever is up for that.
And maybe by that time you'll have a CDL.
Right.
Okay. Now we're adjourned. Thank you.